Hey everybody. I didn't get a video made yesterday. Um, I'm gonna make one today. It's gonna be kind of just a rambling on of stuff. But let me tell you what's been going on up to. And what I've been up to, and you guys have seen the pictures of the places on the layout. What I have done, and it's unfortunately it's all in a shadow, and maybe I can maneuver the camera here. I went in and I measured what length 40-foot boxcars wound up being. So in other words, one boxcar's of 40-foot length is 3.5 inches. Two 40-footers would be 7 inches. Three would be 10.5 inches, and so on down the list. Two 50-foot cars would be 8.25 inches. So that I knew how long the actual cars were. Now I have gone in and measured all of the sidings, and I have written down here what sidings will hold how many cars. So you can see that Sierra Madre Packing holds 1 to 3. The RTB means, what does it mean? Box cars, tank cars, and what did I make R? I don't know. Hang on a minute. Let me fold over my paperwork because somehow my brain has gone blank. R is reefers. I'm sorry. But anyway, what this paper will tell you when I get it all made out is what different locations will handle how many 40-foot cars and what type of cars would normally go in there. Doesn't mean that there can't be other cars go in there, but this would be stock car, box car, gondola, and tank car. Okay, going to the Land and Cattle Company, depending on their needs. Robin's Feed, which is next to it, would have hoppers, box cars, gondolas, and flat cars. Could be anything, practically. The Kachina Depot obviously takes passenger cars, and so on. But you get the idea. I made a list of the industries, and I have got the size of cars, and the yard tracks, and what holds what. And anyway, I came to the realization, how did I pronounce that? Realization of, and excuse me for my fingers being, I do that all the time. Anyways, I found out I can put about a 10 car to 12 car train in here. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 locomotives and a caboose fits in there nicely. So when I leave the branch line over here, with any cars from the interchange track, which is this one right beyond the maintenance away here, that train's total length can be no more than 10 cars, leaving going to the outside world. The track nearest us here is the east. The track cleaner is sitting on, back there, is west. So anytime a train comes in here to go for the cars to be pulled off the layout, they will either be on the east or the west track to be removed from the layout and recirculated through the switch list. I think you guys know that we've been over all the rest of this stuff that's in here, so there's not much sense in talking about it, unless one of you got a question about anything you see here. If you do, post something and I'll try and go over it. Let me step back. We don't often talk about a lot of the stuff that's up there. A resin clock that was also given to me by Fred Cave down in Santa Teresa before he passed away. My big giant Horny Toad. You guys have heard the story about the race car over there, I believe. My display cases. Those papers in the corner. An interesting fact about them, and I can't get too close to them. American Railway Express Company received by Southern Express Company. Anyway, those are pay stubs, and the writing on them is faded so badly that I can't see what they were. From here, I can't see what they were, but one of them I think it says 1909. And I think that it says the guy made $12.40. But nevertheless, my dad got me those somewhere at one point in time, way, way back. Unfortunately, my dad's been gone for about 5-6 years. That electromotive division builder's plate up there fell off a locomotive out in the middle of nowhere when it used to be the SP out west of here. Interesting story. You guys may or may not know, and I could tell you more about the story if you desire at some point. I worked for the phone company for 32 years, and I spliced fiber optic cable from 1985 through 2005 when I retired. The interesting thing about that insulator, peg, and wire, which is actually copper, as we were putting in fiber optic lines going to Santa Fe, New Mexico from Albuquerque, and they had cable, don't get me wrong, this wasn't the only thing, but they had cable in the ground working up there, but it was a relatively small cable, so they had a lot of, they had a high cap line that was going up there that they could transmit a lot of stuff on, but it was getting clogged all the time, so the long distance service was messed up. So anyway, we were putting fiber optics up there, and as we were putting the fiber optics in, at one point we were following a pole line on the phone company's right-of-way that had all these old poles on it. And that is an actual piece of open wire from the old long-distance open wire from Albuquerque to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I would have to guess that that was put in the 1800s sometime. There's no way of dating it. I don't know, but all I know is it's just like I took it off the pole that day, and I don't remember the date, if there was even a date nail in that pole. But that's where that came from, and that's why it'll always stay here in this train room. The American Freedom Train license plate. I have some locks with some keys, and I have some locks without keys. That Southern Pacific locomotive was taken by my friend who has passed away, Albert Lane, the one that took the Rio Grande and Santa Fe picture out in the garage. This is a picture that Robin and I bought of the depot in Durango, Colorado. Some of you guys may or may not know, this mirror here doesn't do much right now, but it does allow me, if I get way back here, maybe you guys have noticed it before, but if I get way back here, and you guys probably can't see, but if I look in that mirror, I can see what's going on the back, these back tracks on the layout here. You can't see it in this video. Anyways, that's what it was for on previous layouts, and I just left it there because it still works. I don't think mirrors ever go bad, do they? Except when you break them. Up here, I built that cord for one of Robin's doll houses. That's a 12 scale cord model. Windows roll up on it and everything. My Speedy Gonzales, Robin's grandfather, had. I don't know where on earth he ever got it, but I always remembered him from the Alka-Seltzer commercials, so there he is. My Chico, I have the original box for Chico. Of course, Chico was the mascot of the Santa Fe Railroad for some time during advertising, and my Weirdos up there. My G-scale caboose is the only piece of G-scale I kept. My Indy 500 mug was brought back to me by a buddy of mine in Albuquerque that used to go to the Indy 500 every year. My Santa Fe mug up there, I bought it at an antique store. It's got Santa Fe and Southern Pacific on it, so it was produced sometime when they were going to merge, which never happened. The Coyote plate was at my mother-in-law's house on the wall, and I just liked it, so I brought it home. All of my date nails, I don't know if they're worth anything or not worth anything. I don't care. I just like them stuck in the board. And my Horny Toads. And that light that's on the ceiling that one would think is a railroad light is not. That light is a city light that they would put if there was work being done on the street. They would fill those up with oil, sit them out in the street. Today they would use a battery-operated light on a trash can, but anyway, that was a street warning light. I don't know where I got that. I don't know if my dad had it or someone had it. Interesting story here that I'll throw in while I'm giving you guys all this info. This Chaparral Van Lines HO truck there. You may be wondering what it's doing there. Well, I'll tell you. Concord made those. Chaparral Van Line was a real van line. And the guy that owned it lived 3 doors up from me here when I moved into this place. Real nice guy. Eventually sold off the company, but he gave that to me. You know, when they commissioned them, when Concor asked him if they could do the truck, he was, of course, given a box of them, and he gave me one. So there it is. My dad, at one time, I had some O-scale. My dad bought me that caboose when they went back to Indiana. He found it in an antique store, so it's never going anywhere. And basically my Horny Toads and my Henry and the moonlight and the sunset light. By the way, the scabbard thing that's kind of on there, I haven't fit it to the rifle yet, but I found out when we went to Bisbee, Arizona too. A guy had a table and charged me $4 for that thing. I don't know how anybody would even make it for $4, but he had it and I thought it would fit the gun, which it does, and so I bought it. We haven't looked at this. Hang on. Hold on here. There is a picture of downtown El Paso. I don't know, let's see, that's Bataan Memorial Highway going alongside what used to be the SP, downtown El Paso. This one here, if you guys have ever seen any pictures of El Paso, there is 2 bridges there now. But this was the old original bridge, which is still there. I have a picture of an Amtrak train. Actually, the picture I have of the Amtrak train, I was standing on this street right here looking up at the bottom of the Amtrak train. It's a pretty cool picture. The smelter is now closed. That actually, let's see. Across the Rio Grande, a great customs smelter. I'm not even sure that smelter was even there when I took that picture, because that looks like it's going around into the mountain into El Paso, and that would be the wrong side. On the side that this picture is done from, back this way towards us, that is where the smelter used to be for the mine in Hurley. They used to smelter copper there. It had a very large, tall smokestack, as some of those are in the background there, but it was really big and really tall. They blew it up many years ago for some reason. I don't know. It was a landmark. Thing was huge. And it might be on YouTube. Here's my complaint forms. There's a lot of paper missing off of there, so I don't know where people put the complaints. The National Model Railroad Convention, when it was in Sacramento. There's a copper medal there from Chino Mines when I drove the train, when I was able to drive a train up into the mine. A friend of mine let me drive it up there, 10-mile-an-hour railroad, but I got to drive it into the mine. That was pretty cool. Got that keychain, copper. This was obviously when we went to the Flight 93 National Memorial. I highly recommend that if anybody gets to Pittsburgh, to take the time to go out to the Flight 93 Memorial. There is no frickin' way on this earth that you would be disappointed, and there's no frickin' way you won't be sad when you go there. But it's an amazingly outstanding memorial to the people who lost their lives there on Flight 93. I can't really tell you anything else about it, otherwise I'm going to get teary-eyed. But it's an amazing place, and you can't believe the feeling and the karma that you get there. It's insane. Let's see. Robin, many years ago, when I first got into trains, bought me the little engine that could. She found that in an antique store somewhere. I have never even taken that out of the plastic. This picture, it says St. Regis Lumber Company. It says K.L.&L Company, and then it says, hang on a minute here, subsidiary of St. Regis Paper Company. Now, I do not know exactly where that is, but I assume it's somewhere in New Mexico, because the gentleman that gave that to me was a Vietnam veteran, and his family, many members of his family, worked for that railroad. And I have quite a few pictures, old pictures from that railroad that he gave me because he knew I was into trains. And my awards, you guys have seen those, and no big deal. Awards are like toilet paper. They're only good for one thing. My flag, which I honor almost daily when I come in here. My garage sign, which basically hides a hole in the wall. And a couple of carded Microtrains cars, which I seem to be fanatical for. If I could find more of them, I'd have probably a whole crap load of them. Okay. Well, you have now heard me ramble and ramble and ramble for probably somewhere around 30 minutes. I'm going to take this in and try and put this video together. By the way, these are all my HO cars that mean something to me. I might as well tell you about them, I suppose. Real quickly, the cars along the top all have private road names on them, and they were almost all given to me by some guys when I was doing HO that had their own railroad names, and exchanged for my ACT cars, which that boxcar there happens to be. My daughter, the one and only thing she ever gave to me, and most of you probably don't even know I have a daughter because I don't even remember I have a daughter because I haven't talked to her for about 20 years. She gave me that train car at one point in time. That little ACT. This is all ACT stuff, Albuquerque, Cardinal, and Tejeras. This passenger train has two people on the back. That is Robin and I. And I used to run this train at all the modular setups. Dalmar Cal. My work desk, the gentleman who had Dalmar Cal lines, which meant Dahl married Carl. His name was Carl. He called her Dahl. So his railroad was Dalmar Cal, and it always was. I have the metal template to do that lettering. Anyway, this was an Athearn passenger car that I converted into a powered Doodlebug, and it runs. More ACT cars along the bottom. Some wooden kits that I built. The double bunker ice bunker. I think it's a very cool car. Has ice bunker in the middle and then two sets of doors and two halves to the car. I wish they'd make one of those in N scale. A tank car, an MDC tank car. Nordic Line, that was a buddy of mine that started the modular group down here with me. And just some ACT stuff I painted. This ACT locomotive here, I've told the story before, but I sold that to a gentleman who was in our HO club when I went to N scale. And crazily enough, when he passed away, the guys at the club thought I should have it back. So I received it back, which I thought was very cool. Another Dalmar Cal car, and a Santa Fe caboose. Okay. I think I probably bored you guys to death. If you think anything you want to ask me about anything you've seen, just shoot it in the comments and we'll talk about it. Okay, guys, I know that was a long-winded video. I'm sure it'll become a long-winded video. Now it will. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. But I told you guys I'd do one every day, and I've been trying, but we've been really busy, which is not a bad thing for us, but it sure wears us down. There's only two of us. But nevertheless, like I say, thanks for watching.